Why does it hurt so much when the day breaks? Why does it hurt so much when the day breaks? It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show on your radio. It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show. It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show on your radio. It's the Cornbread Man Morning Show.
Oh, yeah. Good morning. Happy Monday, July the 13th, 6:04 Eastern Daylight Time. Hope you had a great weekend. It has been an eventful weekend for the nation, for sure. We'll dive into that in a minute. Hope you are ready to get your week started. We'll start out with our verse. Let me get it pulled up. It's actually a part of a verse from Joshua, one of my favorites. As I say every day, but this one truly is. I've preached this so many times. Yeah, choose you this day whom you will serve. See the fork in the road there? That is for me and my house. We will serve the Lord. Amen. Got to make some choices in life. There's to be some things thrown at you. People are going to try to lead you down other paths. People, entities, whatever, temptations. You got to say, no. It's me and my house. We will serve the Lord. We're not perfect, but we're going to serve the Lord. And there'll be people get mad at you about that. They won't like the fact that you're serving the Lord. I mean, they just won't. And that's okay. They're not expecting. I always tell them, I can't help how you feel. They'll think you're being too hardcore or too this or too that, or it's, it ain't nothing wrong with it. People are always trying to convince you that it's okay. Sometimes even with your own family, you have to make decisions that are not always popular as, someone who leads your home. And, you have to explain those out. And I always believed in giving alternatives, to stuff. It's easy to say no. I always like to say no with an explanation and an alternative. Well, instead of that, let's do this. That worked really well with my kids. They really loved that we weren't saying no to fun. We weren't saying no to doing something. We were just saying no to that activity. It just seemed like it wasn't something that would be God honoring, or, we just didn't feel comfortable with it, whatever reason was, whatever it was. And so we would give alternatives. The first time I did that, they were like, well, what? And I said, well, I gave them a couple ideas. I gave them 4 or 5 ideas. I said, you choose. So they liked the fact that I gave them some choices. They could choose from things that I was comfortable with. It would be great and fun and good family, event. And me and my wife just gave them the choice. And so then they really got excited about that. And isn't that the idea that we're teaching young people to grow up and make decisions on their own? I mean, that's the idea. I never understood people that think you're not going to control your kid the rest of your life. They're going to make their own choices. What you want to do is give them boundaries, teach them what those boundaries are, why they're important. And then when they get old enough, their boundaries might not be exactly yours. They may be really close. They may not be exact, but they'll use good judgment, good wisdom, lean on the word, prayer, and they'll come back to all the things you taught them. You may even be wondering sometimes, but they'll stay right there. They'll stay right in that narrow path. And usually, sometimes, but like anybody, we're sinners. So sometimes they fall outside the boundaries, and we're here to pray for them and help them along the way. So anyway, great verse. Love that. And there were some that stayed across the other side of the river. They didn't want to, they decided to do their own thing. And you're going to have that. They weren't a unified voice. There were half the tribe that wanted to stay. So it was an appeal. They made their decision. You got to live with it. Birthdays today. Harrison Ford is 83 years old today. He's been in great shape for an 83-year-old man. Obviously, he's 83. He's not what he was at 43. But still, at 83, he's in great shape. Still acting. Hasn't hung that up yet. Maybe he won't. Um, you juxtapose that against Huey Lewis, who I've known for, I was reading an article this morning, I've known for many, many years of his medical condition that affected his hearing. He uses the cochlear and other devices, but in covering safety, we always talked about noise. And Huey Lewis was one of those that I talked about that had lost his hearing, but his condition was medical, not loud music. Whereas others maybe had ringing of the ears, the tinnitus, because of loud music. His was medical. So I would always use that. And, he was trying to, at that time when I first started covering that story, he was trying to find the, he had good days and bad. And he couldn't hear the pitch, and he said some days I just never know when it's going to be. I could really, I believe I could record. Now that's not possible. So he doesn't even really hear them. He doesn't listen to music anymore because it's really gone. He's really deaf. But he goes fishing, fly fishing. I found out no hearing needed. So he hates that, but he understands. Patrick Stewart, Captain Kirk, among many other things. He's 85, also a man who's in really great shape for his 80s. Bless you, man. I think I had one more. A little shout out to Johnny Gilbert, game show host. I remember him from that. Yes, Cheech Martin, dynamic duo, Cheech and Chong. He is 79 years old today. He always has a smile on his face, and he does in this picture I'm looking at. He always has a smile on his face. Baseball player Cody Bellinger, 30 years old today. I remember when he was first called up. Doesn't seem that long ago. Let me see if there's one more here that I want to mention. Maybe not. There's a couple, but yeah, I think that's good enough. Happy birthday to you today, if it is your birthday. This day in history. Little fun facts about July 13th. In 1787, the Northwest Ordinance was established, creating a framework for settling the Northwest Territory, setting rules for new states, banning slavery in the territory, all the way back in 1787, and guaranteeing equal rights with the original 13 states. 1832, the source of the Mississippi River was discovered by Henry Schoolcraft, an American geographer. It's always got to be the first one. I honestly don't know if he was the first one, but it was probably known by someone who seen it, didn't realize that's what it was. They just knew it was a water and a source. But anyway, he's given credit for that. Let's see. In 1863, giraffe riots in New York City. The protest turned violent, killing over 100 people. I was not born obviously, in 1863, including black individuals, and destroying buildings. You remember this was to the war. People in the North were sick of that thing. They didn't want no more to do with it. I think the Gangs of New York was kind of along those lines, that movie. The original Hollywood land sign was dedicated on the state in 1923. Of course, originally the land was taken off, and just the iconic Hollywood sign was there. 1930, the first FIFA World Cup began in Uruguay. 1966, the Hare Krishna movement. Well, I've seen them before traveling. I don't see them around here. I really never do. In airports, you usually do, or I did. 1977, New York City blackouts. This was actually incorporated in a lot of TV shows. They would talk about the blackouts. I remember All in the Family had an episode about that. They used it. A 24-hour blackout struck the city after a Hudson River substation was struck by lightning, leading to looting and arson. Go figure. Surprise. 85 Live Aid. I remember that. Concerts London, Philadelphia raised millions for famine relief in Africa. I have no idea what happened to the money. I don't know that it was sent there, but hopefully it was. It was watched by an estimated 1.9 billion people. 1.9 billion. In 1993, the first Chipotle is open. I've never ate there, by the way. I've been to the other one. What's the other one that's kind of well known? Anyway, in Colorado, 2016, Theresa May was elected the United Kingdom Prime Minister from the Conservative Party. She became that party's first Prime Minister. And of course, in 2024, on this day, President Donald Trump was shot at a Pennsylvania rally, but obviously survived. They still argue about that. Come on. People say it was, oh, the internet is filled with people. They believe anything and everything but the truth. Everything is a sop. Everything is made up and fake and everything. I said, tell that to the family of the man who died there, that there was nothing, that was a fake. Tell that to his family. I think you get the door slammed in your face. You can hate the whole idea. I think whether it was whatever you want to say about it, I don't care. Fact is, it happened. To what extent the injuries were, I don't know. I only go on what they say. I must not have as good as investigative tools at my disposal. But God bless the person who has been mentioned many times. Uh, it was real to him and to his family, and that's, people need to think a little more. They're not going to, but they need to think a little bit more when you do that. There were people who died. I mean, somewhere out there's probably people that don't believe that the World Trade Centers fell. However they fell is debatable, or what made them fall is debatable. And but I was so tickled. The one in New York City, what it was falling, and they said it proves that the buildings didn't fall the way they were constructed. Um, yes, I know how it was designed, but that building didn't have planes running into it. But anyway, you're gonna meet people that believe that no plane could bring a building down. It's tiring. People spouting facts that they don't have any facts on. Did it happen? I don't know, but they think it did. All I know is that building's down. But anyway, to the family of the one who passed. We're going to go to National Day because that kind of ties in with a couple other things that was in these fun facts about history. And one of those is this is National French Fry Day. I know they're good for you. I'll admit it. But man, they're good. I ate a few last night. The granddaughter made a late, not real late, but kind of late run. 7 something, I think. We probably shouldn't do that. But I didn't even know what I wanted, but I ended up going and getting some chili and fries and stuff. But National French Fry Day. A lot of taters get used for French fries. Either you buy them out or you make them at home. My wife used to make them at home all the time. So it is National French Fry Day. Doesn't mean you have to go get any, but that's the day designated. It's also National Kitten Day. Kitten Day. I didn't know it was. I didn't. So it's not the whole cat day. Just kitten. Gotta be a kitten. National Pina Colada Day. I could deal with that non-alcoholic. I don't know what alcohol. National Collector Car Appreciation Day. I have people that I know do that. I never have. But I appreciate being able to look at these beautiful models that have come from the past in their pristine shape, and many of them things added to them. Pretty cool. National Chronic Disease Day. God bless all you people that are living with a chronic disease. The days are challenging, I know. It's also National Pick the Blueberries Day. I don't know that I ever went and picked blueberries. A lot of blackberries. Tons of blackberries. I remember one time my neighbor, my best friend's grandparents, they were going to go up on the mountain somewhere they knew. Some people lived up there they knew. Blackberries everywhere. So his grandmother, she did make a lot of pies and stuff, and they were good. She's a great cook. And we went up there and we got buckets of those things. Oh my gosh, I got so tired of picking them. Big blackberries. I mean, not little ones, big. I don't know how much we picked. There was several of us that went. And then we got to go have some fun. But man, I got sick of picking them, I'll tell you. but they were put to good use. She was a great cook. She made pies, the kind of small pies, but big pies, cakes, all that stuff. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. Shout out to you on Rumble that are watching and other channels, Facebook, whatever that may be, YouTube, I believe, locals. Just to give a shout out to a few of you. All right, let's. I think we got rid of all the uh, first things I do. I think I went through all those. Double checking myself. Yes. In the news. All right. Well, as we know, as I was going live yesterday morning, had not heard. Thank you, Dabrowski, for letting me know that Senator Lindsey Graham had passed away. Well, this has caused a firestorm across the media. I'm not going to get into all the background stuff. I mean, we'll just say off the top, one, he was, firmly entrenched as a senator. He always won by a landslide. He very rarely was challenged much at all. Um, he had just returned from Ukraine. That was a place that he went a lot, and had spoken with Bibi Netanyahu by phone, I believe, and got home and was not feeling well. And they're saying it was an aortic tear. No one was called. They did CPR, but he passed away. He was now a big, a very, after becoming not really a friend at all, becoming a great friend of the president, and supported him in most of his, if not all his agenda. There was a time where he didn't, but they reconciled all that. To a lot of people's dismay, he was very hawkish on Ukraine, spent a lot of time there, and was constantly appealing for more help for Ukraine as well as Israel. And a lot of people didn't like him for that, but he always was, like I said, firmly entrenched. He's remembered well for his standing up for Brett Kavanaugh during the confirmation hearings for the Supreme Court justice. Maybe his defining moment as a senator. Maybe went on a appeal, had made a great appeal for him, and a lot of people liked what he had to say that day. Yes, there's a lot of background or private stuff that are I'm not going to go into that today. People, if you're listening, you would already know. Um, that has been talked about a lot and is being talked about. I'm just going to say it this way. There's a lot of people celebrating death today of this man. I don't celebrate death of anyone. Um, Jesus died on the cross for all. Where he went, only God knows. A lot of people making a lot of assumptions today of where he's at, and maybe he is. I'll let God handle those details. I just don't ever want to be that person that's celebrating death. I just don't. That's me, because I realize that was a soul, and he has a family, and I'm just not going to do that. I'll leave that to others. There's plenty of other people that can do that. They'll get on here on the airwaves, and they will, do the victory lap and the dance and all that stuff. There was a time when I supported Lindsey Graham, but as I just, more and more about his politics and stuff, I did. I mean, he doesn't live in my district. I could never vote for him. But full disclosure, I think I did send $10 one time to his campaign. I was trying to hold that seat. I didn't like many of the things he said, but there were some things he said that I did agree with. So I think that's with all politicians. It's going to be a balance. Um, he lived a life, whatever his life is, how he left this life. That's where he's at. I mean, that's what it is. But I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to not. It's too easy to go there. People, I always tell people, if you want to do that, get a platform and do it. That's just not me. Um, I'm just going to be, I'm not here for vengeance. I'll let God take care of all the judgments and everything else. But there are facts, and the fact is, he was a U.S. senator and was headed towards another clear win. I don't think he would have lost at all. Now the question is, well, one, they'll be going through funeral events for him, and then there will be the talk of who's going to be appointed until the special election. So that's going to be very short. I think that they're going to start that up late this month. But someone will be appointed. I suspect today. Names are being floated, but Nancy Mace among them. I don't know who will be appointed, but I, they would be there, and they will probably run. Whoever is appointed will probably run too. I'm sure that's part of the discussion. Are you interested in the seat? I don't see them appointing someone that still has any interest, because that's kind of a stepping stone to the election, to the special election. And this is big. It's big for a lot of reasons. One, it's big and um, for their state. It represents South Carolina. It's big in the fact that there's such a thin margin on the national level for control of the Senate. It is also very big on, this is an area that the president could go and gain, always had support in the last few years, and they'll want to really push for somebody that's going to be like that. And now, he was for one of the leaders of the Senate. Maybe wherever he said, wherever he went, news followed him. So there's going to be a lot of spotlight on this. So as we approach the midterms, it just throws a new wrinkle into the midterms. On the other side, there, we have the other senator who was hospitalized, and people are saying he had deceased, running the victory lap again, not believing the news. That picture that came out that said he was sick, but he was in our picture of him in the hospital with his, I think, his wife. People were already running him up the half mast for the flags and whatever. That he's still here. So the president said that he uh, spoke with Graham before his death. He sounded fine um, within hours before his death. He said he sounded tired after returning from Ukraine, but otherwise appeared to be in good spirits. What makes it even stranger, I got a call last night, sometime in the early evening, maybe in the sevens, and he called and he said, "We're all set for the Save America Act," Trump said. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. Speaking by phone with NBC Meet the Press, the president said his final phone call underscored the late senator's relentless work ethic and devotion to public service. It was initially described as a brief and sudden illness. He said he had just landed from Ukraine. That's a long trip to make. He sounded a little tired, but perfect, Trump said. He actually said he was tired, but he wanted to pass the Save America Act. I said, "Well, we'll get it done, Lindsey. I'll get it done. I'll see you soon. We might even meet today." He said he received word of Graham's death several hours later. It couldn't have been much longer. It could have been in his last call. I don't know exactly, but I got a message at about 1 in the morning from one of the people in his office that said he had passed away. The president said, "I can't believe it. He was like a member of the family to me. It's a very tough, actually." The president goes on to say that Graham had a unique ability to work across party lines, which is true, sometimes to the chagrin of others, but he did, and accomplish difficult legislative goals. He was such an advocate, the president said. If he wanted to get something, and he had a unique ability, he was able to deal with Democrats. And he was very close back in the day with Dianne Feinstein. They were friends. Yeah, and in that defense of Kavanaugh, you remember Dianne Feinstein was very sick. She shouldn't have really even been on that committee. Her staff was basically running that for her. It was very sad to see. Those last couple, both of the Comey and Barrett and Kavanaugh, he was very kind to her as well. And she could be tough. But they were friends. They served together a long time. Your politics aside, I believe they were the kind of people that go to lunch and enjoys each other's company. And I've had people like that. We disagree on many things, but we're friends. It reminds me of Lauren Bacall and John Wayne. She was staunch liberal. He was a conservative. She said, "He's my friend. I love him." She said, "I don't care for his politics at all, but John Wayne is my friend." And we need a little bit more of that. It helps, I believe. Just because you're their friend, I don't have to agree with everybody's thing because I'm their friend. I don't have to agree with everything. Lord knows I got friends. I'm sure they don't agree with everything I say. But to be a friend is an important thing. Um, if he had a problem with the Democrat, he could work it out. He was a great politician, actually. Trump said Graham loved serving in the Senate, had been poised to win another term. There was nobody like him. He loved being a politician. He was going to win this election. He was going to win it big. And that's true. He would have. While acknowledging Graham could be combative when pursuing issues he believed in, he said the senator earned widespread respect. He was a tough cookie. Don't misunderstand. If he wanted to get something, if he thought he was right and had people against him, he could be very tough, actually, but he was a good person. And a lot of people won't like that statement, but that's the president speaking. Asked whether Graham had mentioned feeling ill during their conversation. He said that he only indicated he was tired from traveling. He's told me, I feel good, but I'm tired. He was fine. I knew him well. He would let you know if he wasn't feeling well. He said that it appeared to come on suddenly. It had to be something like that. It would just be a quick end. Other than being tired, he was fine. Other than reflecting on his Senate career, Trump singled out that impassioned defense of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. His moment on Kavanaugh was one of the classics in the history of the Senate, the president said. I think that saved Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court ascension. I do too. If there's one thing that will stand 100 years from now, that'll be remembered about Lindsey Graham, that is that moment. And I was supportive of what he had to say that day. I think the timing was perfect. A lot of people maybe have been, and they were mad about it. But he did move that committee forward. He did. So he could be tough like that. He also recalled how his relationship with Graham evolved after they competed during the 2016 Republican presidential primary. We got friendly, and the friendship grew. He was an amazing advocate. I don't know how you can find anybody like him. He said that Graham frequently visited the White House and served as a trusted barometer of Senate sentiment. He was a great gauge of temperature gauge of the Senate. He was somebody that most Democrats liked. Some didn't, but most Democrats liked. And just about all the Republicans liked Lindsey. Asked about who should replace him. He said he has already had someone in mind. He said it was too soon with Lindsey to identify. So we'll see. That he has things to say about that. Excuse me. He did praise South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, saying he trusted the Republican governor to make the interim appointment before voters choose a successor in a special election. The governor is a good friend of mine. I endorsed him early on. He endorsed me right from the beginning. Some say he will run. He's turned out. Trump recalled that McMaster, then South Carolina's lieutenant governor, was among his earliest supporters during the 2016 Republican presidential campaign. He also pointed to his decision to appoint then Governor Nikki Haley as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, a move that elevated McMaster to the governor's office. By moving her, I got myself a great guy. Henry McMaster has been a really good governor and a really good guy. He's going to do the right thing, I think. He said he would make a good decision on the interim appointment, noted that South Carolina voters will ultimately choose Graham's successor in the November general election. Ultimately, there will be an election. I have someone that I like, but I'm not going to tell you now because it's too soon. He's got many legacies, Trump said. He was somebody that loved our country. He fought very hard for our country. So, like, little words from the president about this. Secondly, as we move forward in the news, we know that, and we'll come back to some comments there in a minute. I want to talk about the strikes that started up late last week. The Iranians hit ship during the MOU time period, and they've been striking very heavy over the weekend. And a little update from that. They said, as for today, it ended its latest wave of strikes targeting Iran, insisting that Tehran does not control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has said they closed it. America says no. There are ships passing. CENTCOM said in a statement that they hit air defense systems, radar sites, missile and drone equipment, and small boats. They said it used fighter jets, ships, aerial drones, and naval drones for the first time. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital maritime corridor for global trade, CENTCOM said. Iran does not control it. It added, quote, U.S. forces are postured and prepared to ensure that freedom of navigation remains available to commercial shipping despite Iran's continued unwarranted aggression, harassment, threats, and arbitrary declarations. End quote. Well, that's kind of really where it stands. Many operations. They've been hitting them hard. If you've been watching the news, they've been hitting them very hard. Along with that, Matthew Whitaker, U.S. ambassador to NATO, defended the U.S. military response to Iran following the latest attack on a commercial vessel in the Strait of Hormuz, telling CNN's State of the Union on Sunday that Tehran's leadership is a bunch of crazy people. He added that President Donald Trump remains committed to reaching a nuclear agreement. Quote, President Trump's peacemaker, and he wants to deal with Iran. He wants to make sure that they never have a nuclear weapon, that they can join the world as a contributor and a normalized country. But right now, as President Trump has said, and Marco Rubio has also stated, this country is controlled by a bunch of crazy people. The memorandum of understanding with Iran was always performance-based, and one of the conditions was that Iran cannot terrorize commercial vessels transiting the strait, Whitaker said. Well, I think that's pretty obvious. Quote, now another ship was attacked, and so we hit 140 or more targets, and that's what they should expect. His remarks came after Iran announced it was closing the Strait of Hormuz following an attack by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC is commonly referred to, on a Cyprus-flagged container ship that Iranian officials said had used an unauthorized route through the waterway. They've been using this going closer to Oman. It's ticked them off. Well, you know what? You don't get to say. Again, take all the politics out of it. I could care less. People there could be someone marching in the street right now for Iran. Take all the politics out. Just for the fact that they are trying to close a major waterway, they deserve every hit they get. You can't do that. They're a bully. And they're not just trying to hit us. I can understand it. You can say, well, they're mad at us. Okay, well, then you're hitting other ships as well. You don't get to do that. This is bully 101. There's only one way to deal with a bully. You can't talk them down. They won't do it. They only respond to the punch in the mouth. And at some point, they get tired of it, and they realize they're not the biggest bully on the block. And so you could call us the bully. That's fine. But we're going to clear that waterway, and you're going to suffer a lot for it. It's simple. Quit bullying the strait, trying to say you're going to close it. Quit trying to attack innocent ships and container ships and making threats and trying to. It's extortion. We're going to get money for you coming through an international waterway. And give up the nuclear ambition. You're done. There's nothing going to happen. Money flows your way. All kinds of trade. That's the the whack-a-mole here. I mean, they don't care. And you can't defend the leadership. I hate it for the people of Iran. But thus far, life is not that difficult. It's not like we've destroyed electricity, water. Bridges are still intact for the most part. I mean, we're hitting military size. And you mess around, that's what you're going to get. Iran just continues to fail in this matter. And that's just the way it goes. Excuse me. Iran is reporting that new attacks on military targets on its largest island near Hormuz, the Hormuz Strait, and set it ablaze. Excuse me. The United States attacked Iran on Sunday over an Iranian strike on a container ship that set it ablaze. Iran responded with attacks on countries including Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, and Oman. I'm just waiting for the Arab. And by the way, I don't even know if I posted it yet. There's a little bit of just a little time that I put some thoughts out about this. And I was reading, a CEO of Pickaxe, which we're on. We've had him on the show. Talk to him basically every day, off a post and stuff. Join Pickaxe, by the way, and support the Wolf Nation there. But anyway, he thinks that all this could affect the midterms. I'm not so sure. And here's the thing I'll say about it. Most Americans are not too concerned about right now about it, and most Americans see it as necessary. Yeah, they like that we're doing it. They don't particularly like that we're having to put military men and women in that way, but that's what you sign up for. I mean, you are signed up to go at the direction of the president, the needs of the nation, And right now, we've always been that. Like it or not, we've always sort of been the policemen of the world. And if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? Uh, I don't think the world is too upset with what we're doing at all, except for a couple of countries. The Arab world itself is not up in arms about this. They're applauding it. They're careful of what they say, and here's my proof on that. I don't see all the Arab countries uprising against Israel, and Israel's been involved in this as well. They're mad at they're attacking them as well. Iran's always been the independent there. They've never been in the family of the Arab nations. They deal with them. They're there. They might have trade, they might have a bunch of things, but they're not the same. This is a different whole group of people. Many of them are terrorist nations, dictators. And none of them, I would say, like America. But they're happy with America right now for helping with this. They can't handle this country. I mean, it's look at what we're throwing at them. They can't handle it. And so they might not say it publicly. They condemn the attacks, but they're for what we're doing. There's no big uprising in the Arab world about what's happening in Lebanon. Iran's been the one crying about it. The Arab world is not even that upset with Gaza. Notice that the political landscape has changed, even in the Middle East. I hear more about what's happening in Gaza from here than I do from the Arab nations, which is interesting. I'm not taking a side on that. I'm just making a point. In the past, there would have been there would have been people just going crazy all over. You don't see that. Conditions have changed. It's just a difference in the way the landscape is. And for whatever reason, that has changed. Iran is isolating themselves. There'll always be support from, the Chinas and the Russias and all that. But those in the region, they are loving every minute of this. They're sick of it. They're sick of them. And if there's anything that they care more about than their ideology, it's money, which is really most people, honestly. You mess with their money, then they're ready to do whatever it takes to ensure that money. And they're messing with their money. These nations are dependent on trade coming out of there that comes across the world. They're getting in their pocketbook. They're hurting their bank accounts, which causes problems within their nation. That causes food shortages, high prices, whatever it may be, energy being cut. They don't have enough. Well, then that's going to tick off the populace, and nobody wants an uprising in their nation. You can't handle that. So they're not happy. There's very few nations have rose up to defend Iran here. Everybody wants it over, of course. But until, for the American side and for politics, honestly, I don't see this being that big of an effect, except maybe in some states that are very liberal. Most states, I do not think it's that big a deal unless the body bags start coming home, unfortunately, God forbid, and gasoline was $5, $6, $7 a gallon. I don't think you're going to hear. Most Americans are concerned with things that are going on here right now. Border control, getting a hold of, yes, inflation, yes, getting a hold of, affordable housing, food prices, stuff like that. They don't, even if you say that's a part of it and it hurts that, they're not tying that together if it is. They're just wanting some relief here. Locally, the news was about taxes being raised on property taxes going up, and people are very upset about that, saying they have a $3.5 million shortfall. They're more upset about that than they are what's going on in Iran. And so these people that are reading the tea leaves and they're predicting this is going to be harmful to the midterms, I'm not so sure. I'm not saying it definitely will not. I just don't think that it does. I think if you just sit back and you really pay attention across the board about what's being said, you do not see a lot about that. And I think that if nothing else, those nations want that strait opened up. Nobody wants to be paying a bounty, a penalty like pirates to be able to pass through the strait. Because if one's paying, they're all having to pay. And if anything else, they would all want that part of that money. And they're not going to get it. Iran's not going to share it. So they're for this. They are for it. And if for them to be weakened militarily for a long time, they're for that too. They are a huge builder and buyer of the parts and maker of drones and missiles. And yes, they do sponsor terrorism across the Middle East. And it wreaks havoc within those nations that they're residing. I don't think the Arab world is one bit sad that Hamas is taking a punch in the mouth. They may not like what's happening in Gaza, but they're happy that Hamas is being dealt with. And secondary to that, I don't think they're that upset that Hezbollah's been hit really hard either, because the same problem, even though they may their hatred may be towards Israel and America and whatever, these leaders are threatened by them as well. The people are, they all live under a threat. You side with us or else. I mean, they know the deal. These people are bullies. They're dictators. They're power hungry madmen, and I just think it's interesting. You don't hear it, and thus it's media, and you got leaders like the idiot that says he's going to run for president or whatever, Roe, whatever it is. He goes over there and he's trying to go in places he shouldn't go. Then he wants to report that he's being held by the IDF and delayed and all that stuff. Let me tell you, bud, this is how the Middle East works. You don't get to cross borders over there like it's you just cross the states here. That's the deal. Because of the violence, you just can't do that. People die and they have a right. Imagine that, they have a right. Just because you're a U.S. senator don't mean you get automatic quick access into Israel or into a territory or whatever. They said settlers. Well, the settlers are out there on the island. And a lot of times the military don't come until way late. They have to defend themselves. Do they go heavy sometimes? You bet they do. But maybe he doesn't, but he should understand you're not in America anymore. Be appreciative of the freedoms we have here. You just don't cross borders over there like you do here, inside the country and from outside. It's a lot easier to cross here for all the complaining. It's a lot easier to cross here than it is there because we don't have to deal with the issues that they have to deal with. But they're doing their best to try to throw some sort of a controversy up in the air as the midterms approached, and that was one of them. That was all made up crap. It happened, sure it happened, but I mean they're using that as a way to say, look what they're doing, the evil. You got a right to defend your border. You don't have to let them in. There's no law that says you have to let in a U.S. senator into your country. But they want to go over there and But see, you don't hear a great uprising. It was a news article in the news. I was barely rippled the water, barely. That's what I'm saying. It's a different time. Things have changed, and it's interesting to watch. Where it goes, I have no clue. But I think you should pay attention to it, or all of us, because I think new allegiances are being formed, new alliances, and I just see a change in the weather, and I think it's important for us to note that. So we'll see. Do we need to get out of this as soon as possible? Sure, it's not good. The longer you go, there's an expense part, but there's danger. Planes can be shot out of the air. You could have pilots taken prisoner. We don't see anybody dead or anything. Those things can happen. Operations are dangerous, so we need to pray for them and get out of there as soon as we can. But it's not going to happen in the next little bit, that's for sure. President Trump ordered the flags at half staff for Senator Graham. Some of the let's see here. Franklin Graham said Lindsay's a great American. A lot of people won't like that. George Bush said Graham grasped the world. Nancy Mace, as I mentioned, weighs a Senate bid after his passing. It's a roughly 30-day window to pick a new nominee for the November ballot. So, as I said, near the end of the month, all that should be set in place. The term, which runs through the interim, will run to January 3rd. So, whoever's appointed, whether they're running or not, that appointment will last obviously till then, because that's when that will officially change over, even if they didn't win the election or whatever. And so there's a fast track special primary under Section 71155 of the State Election Code. The candidate filing opens the second Tuesday after the vacancy, or in this case, July 21st, and remains open for 1 week. So it's very fast. A special primary is expected by August 11th, with a runoff 2 weeks later if no candidate clears a majority. The winner will face pediatrician Annie Andrews, who cleared the Democratic field in the June 9th primary. Mays, who finished fifth in last month's Republican gubernatorial primary, which was won by State Attorney General Alan Wilson, has run for the seat before. She challenged Graham in 2014, I remember that race, and finished fifth. Her team plans to field a poll on Monday to gauge her viability. Well, yeah, if you're finishing fifth, you better. She's a name, people know her, but if she's finishing that bad in the state, in the Republican side, that's not a good sign. Doesn't mean she won't run, but the polling will tell her if she's got a chance in Hades. Other names of speculation include Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette, who lost the June 23rd gubernatorial runoff, and Republican Ralph Norman, or Representative Ralph Norman, Republican South Carolina, and none of these have publicly announced. McMaster is term limited, previously aligned with Graham's re-election effort. He could accelerate the field by naming an interim senator who intends to run in a special primary, effectively placing a thumb on the scale. The political stakes extend beyond South Carolina. The Republicans hold a 53-47 Senate majority, and Graham's death, combined with Senator Mitch McConnell's extended medical absence, thins the GOP bench in a chamber where Trump administration priorities have moved on top margins, and there have been a couple of Republican senators who have crossed over and voted with Democrats. So getting thinner is not good for the president. It is said, though, this morning that Susan Collins is going to vote for the Save America Act. It's pretty big news. Let's see. Of course, a lot of speculation going to be said about he was in Ukraine. He met with Zelensky the day before his death. So we'll see. We had a lot of news about that today in the Monday news. So we'll catch up with that a little bit later in the day or tonight as we see what's going on. A little bit in sports. I want to just grab a couple of things. England, is now in the quarterfinals. Good for them. I'm sure they're all in a fever for that. And baseball is at the All-Star break. The last game was played yesterday. Yes, the Braves won, so the Phillies. 2-game lead by the Braves as they will start out of the break. But they obviously is a 3-day break now. Games will begin again Thursday and then amp up. So there is a break for the All-Star break. And that'll be something people watching. The racing, Ryan Blaney won a exciting last lap push by many teams. He finished over Bubba Wallace, who was then penalized to the longest of the line on the lead lap, which was 29th, because he crossed past the yellow line to make that move. And that's a no-no. So it was an exciting finish, though. Hocevar, Blaney, Bubba. So exciting Atlanta race, a finish up there. And so we'll see. A lot of people are following because of the controversies, and there are people that like the game now because of Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever beat the defending champion Aces for the second time in 8 days. They hit the 100-point mark for the 8th time this season, the most in the WNBA. They won 109-75. Vegas says they were tired after playing many games. Clark played sparingly, 25 minutes, about almost 25 minutes due to injury she's been dealing with for her back. 16 minutes, I thought. Actually, that was Wednesday. She played, and then it's 25 for this game. Amping up. She had 12 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and basically what amounted to 24 minutes. Kelsey Mitchell led the Fever with 27 points, or 6 consecutive games with at least 25 points. The Fever's 34-point win tied their largest against the Aces franchise, which was in 2003 when the Aces were still in San Antonio as the Silver Stars. And getting a little bit further down in the they said they got their butts kicked. Yeah, you lose 34 points, you got your butt kicked. And the lady of the hour, Sophia Cunningham, which a lot of people are following now. She's the one of the pointing finger. She scored 20 points, going 6 of 7 beyond the arc. She's a really deadly three-point shooter. Amazing. So with the controversies and all the videos that's been made off of Sophie and Caitlin Clark and they're living big right now. It's really bringing a lot of attention to the league. In the Baltimore Orioles and Kansas City Royals game, so the Orioles and Royals, that's kind of tongue twister. There was a pitch by Royals reliever Lucas Erkeg struck Baltimore's Blaze Alexander on his left hand, resulted in both dugouts, excuse me, and bullpens emptying into the field near home plate during the seventh inning of the Orioles' 8-2 victory. Both teams began the day in last place in their divisions. There was no shortage of emotion after he hit Alexander Erkig with an inside fastball. Alexander took a few steps toward first base before shouting at him, prompting Orioles manager Craig Albernaz to quickly restrain his infielder from charging the mound. But during that time, players from both teams emerged from the dugouts, and pitchers from both bullpens charged in from beyond the outfield wall. But no punches were actually thrown, and no one was ejected. Alexander ended up with a non-displaced fracture of his left hand. Definitely a gut punch, Albernaz said, of the prospect of being without Alexander when the team returns from the All-Star break to face Houston on Friday night. He leads the Orioles with a .312 batting average. He was not made available to reporters after the game. I'd say he was cussing. That's probably why. Erkeg insisted the errant pitch was an accident, even though the previous batter, Samuel Basallo, homered for an 8-2 lead. There's no ill intent. That's baseball. I mean, guys are going to get hit. And, and you have to, I guess, kind of understand the situation. I understand why he's mad. Obviously, you don't ever want to get hit, especially in the hand. So sorry about that. It has been that kind of year for the Royals and Ursa. I've got like a 5-something ERA, he said. I mean, I'm not going out there to hit guys and put guys on and give up homers and this and that. Kansas City dropped a season-high 21 games under 500 after being swept for the 8th time, most of the majors. Frustration in one word, disappointment, anger. Manager Matt Quintrero said, every emotion that you can think of we're battling, not getting any results, and it stings, and probably the feeling that you're fixing to be fired. 38-59 on the year, not good. And also over the weekend, we had the big MMA fight or whatever they call them, and that lasted a very short time as well due to the blown knee. A lot of people not happy about that as well. Let's see here. Anything else? Nothing much. The Warriors are going to hire Frank Vogel as assistant head coach. He's a name. He's been around for a while. Under Steve Kerr, filling the void left by departing Terry Stotts. Vogel, 53, has been head coach of 4 franchises over 12 seasons, including the Lakers to an NBA championship in 2020 and the Indiana Pacers. He took to 2 conference finals in 2013 and 2014. He is 53 years old. He spent the last part of 2 seasons the last 2 seasons as part of Dallas Mavericks coaching staff, beginning as a consultant before moving to the front of the bench this past season. So, we'll see. A little bit in basketball. NFL camps are opening up. A lot of free agent moves still agreeing. This is interesting. A group led by San Francisco 49ers limited partner Bernard Kosha has agreed to purchase the Seattle Seahawks. That was announced on Saturday. The terms were not disclosed, but people with knowledge of the matter said the selling price, it's amazing, would be $9.612 billion. A record for an NFL franchise, you think? Over $9 billion. As part of the deal, which is subject to owner approval, the Kosha family will be required to relinquish its ownership stake in the 49ers. The family will become the Seahawks' controlling owner. And by the way, that's probably just only part of the team they're controlling, but it would be worth even more than that, I guess. Owners have been given a date in late August to keep open for special meeting to approve the deal. We are honored to be entrusted as the next stewards of the Seattle Seahawks, said Vinod Kosha on behalf of the Kosha family. We look forward to building on the winning legacy Paul Allen created and to earning the trust of the Seahawks organization and fans everywhere. They went up for so after the team beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. The franchise is be owned by the estate of Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen since his death in 2018. His sister Jody has controlled the team as the executor of the trust, with a directive from her brother to eventually sell the team and the Portland Trailblazers and donate the proceeds to charity. That's a lot of donation right there. He agreed to buy the Seahawks from Ken Behring in '96. The deal became an official in '97. So quite a while. The Seahawks have made the playoffs in 7 of the last 10 years. Kosha is the founder of Koshla is the founder of Koshla Ventures, a venture capital firm, and has a net worth of $13.8 billion, according to Forbes. So his valuation in the 49ers, or what he paid, was $8.5 billion valuation. So he has a lot of this available to him. So they sell their part there. Well, they're going to gain in value. NFL teams go up in value, not down, especially one like that. So definitely a money maker, but change in ownership there. Interesting. I wonder what they'll do, what charities they will choose. Interesting. So the Commanders, which a lot of people don't like that name change, they're going to retire number 44, won by, yes, I watched him play many times, Hall of Famer John Riggins. Remember him? 40 years after he scored a touchdown in one of the most famous runs in Super Bowl history. He's the 7th player in franchise history to have his number retired. He'll be honored during the Washington's game versus the Rams on November 8th. That'd be pretty cool. He was nicknamed the Diesel. He fielded an offense that led the organization to its first Super Bowl win after the '82 season. He was named the NFL MVP or the Super Bowl MVP after rushing for 166 yards, including that 43-yard touchdown run on 4th and 1, with 10-10 remaining for a 2017 lead in a 27-17 victory against the Miami Dolphins, January 30th, 1983, which just crushed Dan Marino. He never made it back. What an offense Miami had. They just couldn't, but that rushing attack, they couldn't stop it. During that 4-game playoff run, he set an NFL postseason record with 610 rushing yards. That's amazing. In '84, at 35 years old and 3 months, he became the oldest player in NFL history to rush for more than 1,000 yards. He once declared former team owner Dan Snyder had a dark heart. It became estranged from the franchise, though was briefly interrupted when he worked on the team's flagship radio station in 2016. He's remained an outspoken about Snyder, however, and has made it known he did not like the team changing its name to the Commanders. But when Josh Harris purchased the team in 23, Riggins and numerous other alumni resumed a relationship with the team. He attended the 23 season opener. He also attended OTA's practice this spring and talked to the team. So that would be pretty cool. I'm not sure they're able to put it back together. There's some other things you want to see that CDSPN. That's nice, though. That brings back a lot of memories for me. So for you younger folks, if there's any watching or watch this, go back and watch the highlights. Amazing moment. I was not a Washington fan at all, but I do like great performances, and he certainly had that. Real quick before we sign off, they finally come to a conclusion on Marshawn Nealon, the Cowboys player that committed suicide back in November of 25 at the young age of 24. The Boston University CTE Center made the diagnosis that he did have stage 1 CTE. There are 4 stages, obviously, with that, 4th being the hardest. They put out a statement from his girlfriend. While this diagnosis does not change the tragedy of his passing, it provides important context about some of the struggles he may have been facing. We share this information to help people understand that while the NFL and other high-contact sport athletes might be struggling with, raising awareness is important to us. We continue to remember Marshawn with compassion for the person he was, rather than defining him by the final moments of his life. one love. Um, it's not to say that that's the total reason that he did that, but it could be a part. But it is interesting at such a young age, he was already suffering the effects of that. It's something the NFL is going to have to continue to face, and there's more studies need to be done. I don't know what you do. I don't know if there is anything you can do. Uh, when at the moment of his death, a friend called authorities were concerned over his well-being. He was found on a railroad track saying he hoped a train would run over him. That was at 2020. He was still in college. So, see, he had some problems even all the way back in college. So there may have been several things that were going on. In November 6, 2025, a trooper saw Nealon's car speeding down the highway, sometimes traveling at more than 145 miles per hour, making several unsafe lane changes. Eventually lost sight of his car. They were searching for him, and they received information that he had expressed suicidal ideas. And unfortunately, he lost. It's sad to see that life go like that. All right, we got to go, and we'll see you tonight. We'll see probably PNN News, Wolf Nation Sports, something we'll see. We'll see you then, and take care. Have a great morning. Conquer your Monday. Don't let it conquer you. It'll be okay. Tuesday's on.